As part of Heritage Week, the theme for Heritage Week is Living Heritage. One of our volunteers met with Michael Davies, and Michael will tell us about his first trip to Ireland in 1951 when aged just 16. Over Heritage Week, we have a series of clips of his memories where he will bring us from Cheshire to the far south west and back to Leitrim.
I set off on the 23rd of June 1951 from Cheshire, well, the 22nd actually, because it was late at night, and I sailed over on the old on the Cambria. No, it wasn't old, it was new then, the motor vessel Cambria, from Holyhead to Kingstown Pier, they still called it, Dunleary, on the 3:25 sailing on Saturday the 23rd of June 1951. Well, of course, I'd read in Railways, it was called, that magazine, articles by Boyd, James Boyd, who I knew because he lived near me, and Tom Rolt, the famous LTC Rolt, who I'd met because I'd been on a working party on the Tralee Railway in April 1951, which was the first ever volunteer effort to save a railway. So I worked on the Tralee with Rolt, and we were lifting rails at Acknowledgements on the village incline because they were in good condition. And I said, "Mr. Rolt, I've just been reading your book, Green and Silver, about his Irish canal trip in 1946. And of course he travelled on the West Clare and the Heaven of Leitrim, and then he'd done articles in the railway press, the railways, concerning his trip on the monthly fare special on the Dingle, which really excited me. So I thought, well, on this first trip I must arrange it so that it falls in on the calendar for the last, I must be in Tralee on the last Friday in the month. So it was the month of June I was going. So Friday the 29th of June 1951 was a special. So I wrote to Inchicore, and it was a very nice letter back saying, yes, you have permission to travel, and you must report to the booking office at Tralee and pay the appropriate fare. 8 and 9pence was return. And there was a bit of worry that morning at the booking office because there was some suggestion, have you all got permission? You have to be of age before, or your parents must have signed it. I didn't declare how old I was, but actually I was 16, 17 next day, and there was a little bit of worry that they might suddenly say, are you old enough to be on this trip? But nothing untoward happened. With me was Arthur Camwell, who I'd only met that week. I'd heard the name, famous of course as a traveller and railway photographer. So I'd met him only earlier in the week, in Sligo. I was in a rather cheap hotel in Sligo by the station. Bear in mind I was in 1951. I'd only be earning about £2 10 shillings a week as a junior clerk. So it was, and the whole holiday cost about £15, all in from Cheshire to Dingle and back, including fares and bed and breakfasts. I don't think I had many main meals because I couldn't afford to eat. So that was how I got to Tralee and stayed at the Imperial Hotel in Tralee. I said to the proprietor, I have to be up early, breakfast early, because I'm catching a train to Dingle. Oh no, you're not, he said, there's been no trains to Dingle for many, many years. I said, no, I'm afraid I can overrule that because there's a special train running at just after 8 and I must be on it. So